All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing you today, we are going to do a gear set review on the Widowmaker set. Now, this set's been out for a while. It did get a rework for the Stonethorn PTS. I wanted to go through it. I wanted to talk about its viability, wanted to explain my thoughts on it, where it's good, where it's bad, because the proc set condition looks pretty strong. So with that being said, let's dive into it. Widowmaker is as follows: weapon crit, max dam. Not great for 2, 3, and 4 piece for a proc set. You know, the crit doesn't matter for the proc condition. So it's a little lost. That you'd rather see, you know, max dam or weapon damage or recovery, you know, something you can build into a little bit better, but it is what it is. 5 piece. When your alchemical poison fires, you drop a poisonous spore in front of you that bursts after 1 second, dealing 24,066 poison damage over 5 seconds to all enemies within 5 meters. So this is a very high tooltip that can scale with Malakath, and it's got a short condition. You know, quick math, it's like 4,500. You know, ish poison damage every second. That's a lot of poison damage. It's a lot of, it used to be a burst set, but now it's a dot set over 5 seconds. And so I wanted to test it out. I wanted to check out its viability and see how it could function. Now, I've run it in the past just to see like what it does. And we're just going to light attack here on this boss to proc our poison. And you're going to see what it is eventually. There it is. So you see you got that 1 second delay and everything within 5 meters blows up, and then it does, you know, it does damage. So I didn't do this test the same way I did the other tests. What I figured I would do with this one is I switched to sword and board, and I thought it would work well to put Widowmaker on the back bar with trapping poisons. And so if you're going to proc a poison, I figured a hindrance and a mobilized poison would work out very well so that you can kind of snare them in place and ensure that you get the proc. So these poisons do not work on the ads. I tried to do this video earlier and it just doesn't work on ads. So I took them off and I just put these poisons on so you could see the proc condition, and I can go through the set a little bit more. But yeah, when I was dueling, I was running this, and I figured it'd be pretty good for a back bar set, because then you can front bar a different damage set. You can still maintain a decent amount of burst while still having this proc condition. You can obviously front bar this as well, and that's what I would recommend if you're going to run this set, because for multiple reasons that I'll explain in this video. But that was the goal. Okay, if I back bar this, I can fit a little bit more damage on my front bar, so my leap and my D-swing and my other abilities will hit harder than if I front barred this set. Because as you guys can see, the 2, 3, and 4 piece isn't super awesome. So this is better suited if you can by making it a back bar set. I kept everything else the same as I did in the other proc set videos so that we can get a comparison between the two. 5 Pariah, 2 Bloodspawn, back bar with this, and then I front barred Unleashed because the 2 piece is weapon damage. So then I fit 129 weapon damage on my front bar that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So that's how I went about doing it. I figured, you know, if I light attack, heroic slash, this is how I would run it. And I proc my poison, I'm going to snare him in place, and it gives me a really good chance to proc this dot. I could go to the front bar, I could hit a D-swing and a leap, and I'm going to, you know, apply a lot of pressure and a lot of burst. That was the thought with it. In actuality, how this set functions, and I'm going to try and show it here, but if I light attack and I turn, it procs on where I'm facing. Let's see if I can get it here. Come on. So you see here, it doesn't proc on the person that it lands on. It procs in front of you. And so if you're in a dynamic combat situation and you're bouncing around and the player is really good at weaving and kind of staying inside your body and bouncing around, sometimes you can proc this condition and it's going to proc in a way where it's going to be easy to avoid even with the snare. Like I can get it to land 2 or 3 meters away from this guy without even him moving. And so sometimes when you're fighting, because it's not procking in the middle and he's not in the middle of this proc, it makes it even easy to avoid with the hindrance poisons. And so sometimes, like if you have to do a dodge roll or something like that, after you light attack, heroic slash, or whatever, you're going to get a condition to where it's going to proc in a spot where you're not going to want. And I don't know. There we go. See, so you can see like he's already on the outer ring of this. He was already like, all he had to do was step 1 meter away and he would have been out of it. Obviously he's a test dummy, but in that situation, I can have it proc in a pretty bad spot just by me moving. And now I'm on a sword and board build. I'm not very mobile. If you take into account bow builds or sorks or anything like that, you're going to have a really hard time landing this, even with immobilized poisons. So that was one of the issues, was, you know, how it procs on them. It's not like Pillar of Nirn where it drops directly underneath their feet. It procs wherever you're at, where you're facing when you hit them. And so that was one of the issues. The other issue is, as ridiculous as this sounds, it didn't feel like a good back bar set, because even when I procced it on the back bar consistently, it was only a 5-second duration. So I couldn't always combine the pressure of Widowmaker with my front bar combination. So if you're fighting people, if you're trying to 1vx or duel, like I was just dueling, but like let's say you proc that, you go into the back bar and you want to get this combination. So we'll pretend all my buffs are up first. So we'll hit this combination. There we go. I have to basically go on my front bar and then get the combination almost immediately within that 5-second window. So as a back bar set, although it's a lot of damage, you know, it doesn't coincide well with burst in the way the other sets do. You know, Sheer Venom has 100% uptime with poison injection. And so as long as you have poison injection on them, Sheer Venom's going to proc while you're on your front bar. So if you have to dodge, roll, and rally and do all these other sorts of things, basically, as long as poison injects on their body, it's going to go up off a cooldown. And so those types of sets are very valuable. It doesn't miss, you know, those sorts of things. So those were the issues with this set. So from my experience, the proc damage was nice, and I'll provide the screenshots of me fighting with it so you guys can check it out for yourself. The proc damage was nice, but I couldn't always coincide it well with burst. You know, it felt like it was applying a lot of pressure, but I couldn't use that pressure to get a kill. It was like, okay, cool, I got pressure now. And then by the time I got to my front bar to do damage, sometimes like the pressure had disappeared, and, you know, then I was not utilizing it in a combination the way I could with other sets. And so I would recommend, if you're going to go out and get this set, I would run it on the front bar. And I would still run it with immobilized poisons. You know, like with D-Swing, if you're not setting them off balance, you're snaring them. But if you have immobilized poisons firing with the snare from D-Swing, you should be able to land it pretty consistently. You can kind of guarantee the proc on your offensive combination, because, you know, if you're light attack weaving on the front bar, and let's say all of a sudden you get the proc and you get the snare, then you can coincide all of that with a leap, and you can hit with a very big burst combination and have the dot ticking on them, and then you could potentially execute them. I think that's a better way to go about doing it. Like I said, I was trying to fit this on a back bar, and I just felt like the conditions weren't super great for a back bar set. So if you get it, I would run on the front bar. In my opinion, like I said, I think the other sets are better. I think you're better off running Poisonous Smite, or Venomous Smite, sorry. I think you're better off running Sheer Venom. I think you're better off running Pillar of Nirn as it's currently constructed. I think those proc conditions are a lot easier to fulfill. Although this is a lot of pressure, or although Widowmaker is a lot of pressure and all these other sorts of things, the proc condition isn't great. It's easier to dodge, even with these snares, and it's easier to avoid against mobile builds. So those are my thoughts on Widowmaker. Yeah, I personally will not be going out to fill out the set, but up to you. I mean, if you guys see something that I don't, I'd love to hear it. Please comment in the section below on your thoughts on this set and where you think it lies. But I think this one's just fine where it's at. You know, it does provide pressure, but there are quite a bit of counters to it, unlike a few of the other sets that I've mentioned. So I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.